Hello, everybody. I'm happy to sort of be here with you. It's been so many months since I've seen so many of you. I'm not there tonight because I am vulnerable to COVID. I have a whole list of reasons that if I get it, it would be bad. Also, I'm wearing a Star Trek red shirt during a pandemic. Maybe not a good idea. But nonetheless, I wanted to share with you today, and so I thought video would be the perfect way to do it. One, because I do video every day, so I have all the equipment here. I even have a cool face microphone. But also because I'm particularly struck by a need to find joy in 2020. Because I don't know about you, I probably do know, regardless of who you are, 2020 has been just a craptastic, horrible year, right? I mean, it's just been terrible. I have some notes here with a list of some of the things off the top of my head that suck really bad about 2020. COVID. That really sucks. Quarantine. Whatever degree of quarantine you were in, whether you were an essential worker, so you were out working, or you were locked in a house, doing nothing and having your groceries delivered, it's been really rough. A lot of you may have lost your job, or if you haven't lost your job, that can be a stress in and of itself because you're going to be a frontline worker. I know, like my daughters all went out and stayed working during the quarantine, which meant that they were out there in the public before we knew much of anything about how to control the spread. Along with that goes money problems. More money, more problems. If that were the case, we'd have no problems because money has been horribly tight this whole time because of the whole job thing, and getting groceries delivered costs more money. All of the things have just gone together to be very, very stressful. You may have even had housing issues. I mean, paying rent when you don't have a job or don't have income, kind of not easy to do. So we have all of these things going on. And myself, if you remember how svelte I was looking, I ended up gaining back over 20 pounds during quarantine because I discovered sourdough bread. But also just because when you're sitting around the house, you got nothing to do but eat. And so I would just keep mowing, gained over 25 pounds. It was a real bummer. Other things that I didn't get accomplished during quarantine, I thought quarantine's gonna be great. I'll get to read more books. I'm gonna read more books than I've ever read. I'll get to spend more time with God than I've ever spent. I get to read the Bible more. How much of that did I actually do? Yeah, not very much. And the weird part is, I actually work from home anyway, so you wouldn't think much changed, but nope. I ended up being stressed, and when I'm stressed, I don't want to read. I just want to eat and watch TV, I guess. I don't even know. Um, it's just been really sucky. And now, at the end of 2020, we have the best part of 2020, freaking politics. How much fun is that not, right? So, anyway. 2020 is really sucky. It's hard to find joy, and I want to talk about that this evening with you. So if I keep looking down, it's because I made notes because I have a tendency to ramble and get on bunny trails, and there's nobody here to say, Shawn, like Donna's not here to say, hey, get back on track, you weirdo. Anyway, so I'm going to keep looking down at my notes. I'll try to. It's very possible I'm going to get off track. But first of all, I want us to think clearly about one thing. When does the devil attack us? And by attack, I don't mean like, I mean, when does the devil go after us? At what points are we weakest to his machinations, to his desire for us to fall away from Christ and Christ-like thoughts and behaviors and all of the things that being a Christian is all about? The devil doesn't want us to do that. So when are the times that we are the most vulnerable to that? I'll tell you what, a lot of them happen during this whole pandemic issue. So the first one I want to talk about is when you are tired. That can be physical tired. It can be emotionally tired. It can be spiritually tired. It's just tired. I don't know about you, but I find myself saying either to myself in my head or to Donna or whomever will listen, I am so tired. And sometimes it means I want to go to bed. Sometimes it just means I'm just weary, right? Well, the Bible recognizes that that is a time where we're going to be susceptible to sin, right? Susceptible to the devil kind of weaseling his way into our hearts and minds. In fact, Isaiah 40:30 said, "Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and young men shall feel exhausted." That's Isaiah 40:30. And he's by saying the youths, this means like even vibrant, strong, like, oh, I'm ready to take the world. I go to CrossFit. Even people who would normally have tons of energy just get beaten down, right? We just get beaten down, and then we're just not as sharp and ready to take on the devil's attacks. And so I don't know about you, but I am tired of COVID world, right? It's like the worst amusement ride ever. And know that God understands that, right? God knows that we are weary, we are tired. He knows that the devil is going to try to get to us. And so he's aware of that. If we're aware of it, sometimes knowing is a big part of the battle. So know that your weariness is going to make you more susceptible to negative thoughts, to negative actions, or lack of positive actions. It's something to be wary of. The second one that I have written down here, when you are first starting out. Now, this may not be anybody in this room. I don't know. But when you are a brand new Christian and it's this new way of doing life, you are susceptible to being distracted, right? 1 Corinthians 3:2 says, I gave you milk to drink, not solid food, for you were not yet ready to receive it. Indeed, even know that you are not. Well, let me start over again. I'm not going to edit because I wouldn't edit in real life. 1 Corinthians 3:2, I gave you milk to drink, not solid food, for you were not yet able to receive it. Indeed, even now you're not able. The reason I messed up is because I wrote it wrong. Even now you are not able. It's okay if you are not ready to tackle all of the injustices in the world. It's okay if you don't know every answer to every question that COVID world throws at you. It's really easy to give up, right? This Christian thing, I'm supposed to be thinking through, Christian mindset. I'm supposed to be doing like, what would Jesus do? If you don't know Jesus super well, sometimes it's easy to get distracted. So if you're new to this whole Christian thing, if you're visiting here with your Christian friend, don't get concerned if it seems overwhelming. Here's the secret. It is overwhelming. That's why we need Jesus. We need Jesus there to help us get through this crazy little thing called life, right? So it's okay if you feel overwhelmed, but when we're new, we're particularly susceptible to being distracted and dismayed. In fact, two of my daughters have brand new puppies, right? Puppies are easily distracted when you take them outside because everything is so new. Same thing as being a new Christian. Everything is so new, you're not familiar with how things go, so you can easily be distracted. We need to focus on the simple truths, and those simple things are what we can focus on because it's something we can grasp and something that will keep us from going astray. So we'll talk more about how to do things later, but that's really key is don't get overwhelmed and worried like, oh, I can't do this, it's too hard. Another one, when you are angry, I don't know about you, but I get angry a lot these days. Sometimes I get angry at people. Sometimes I get angry at God. Sometimes I get angry at puppies for peeing in my office right after they've been outside. I get angry, and anger, it's like, it's like Darth Vader, right? Yes, yes. Use the anger, feel the anger, come to the dark side. The reason that line in the movie works so well is because it's true. When you are angry, you're not thinking about God and Christ-like behaviors. When you're angry, you want to make somebody else miserable so that they feel as miserable as you do, etc., etc. James 1:19 through 20. Who wants to read that? I can't see you, so I'm going to do it myself. James 1:19 and 20. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. How many of you said, but this anger that I'm feeling is a righteous anger? I have used that line myself, and sometimes it's very true. Sometimes the anger comes from something that's going against God's desires, right? And we know that if we go into it with a Christ-like mindset, that righteous anger is a real thing. But sometimes we just get angry and try to find a reason that we can make it righteous anger, right? I am so angry at this person, and it's because they're doing something unchristlike. I mean, come on. Maybe they are doing something unchristlike, but you trying to come up with a reason to justify your anger, also unchristlike. So anger puts you in a very vulnerable position because it's really easy to steer an angry person towards something destructive and not something to build up other people and other Christians. So anger, another thing that is going to make it really, really difficult to find the joy in your day-to-day life. Another thing that makes us vulnerable, when you are in pain. Now, pain can be physical pain. Pain can be emotional pain. Pain can be worrisome pain. When you are hurting, it is much easier to not look at God and not focus on what Christ has for you. Pain is a huge distraction from looking where you should be looking. I don't have a verse explaining this vulnerability because it's pretty clear, right? I mean, if you're in pain, it's easy to focus on the pain and easy to get yourself in a rut, if you will. And it's easy for the devil to distract you from things that maybe you should be focusing on to take your mind off of that pain. Let's see. Yeah, and so I don't have a verse. My example, which was a pretty good example. I wish I would have looked there first. So if you're in pain, if you're the devil and you're looking at a bunch of people, who are you going to pick on? The person in pain, right? If you're about to get into a fight with somebody and you have your choice between two people, one person who goes to CrossFit every day and the other person who has recently had their knee run over by a car. I think you're going to pick that person in pain with a broken knee because it's going to be a lot easier to get to them, right? It's going to be a lot easier to win if that person is already in pain. And so the devil does the same thing. If we're in pain, he's going to take advantage of that. He's going to keep twisting and twisting and twisting. He's very sneaky like that. Anyway, the Bible is full of reminders about how to handle that pain or to know that God is aware of it. I do have an example here. Psalm 147 verse 3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds, right? God wants to heal you. Whatever that pain is, physical, emotional, spiritual, all of the ulls, he wants to be there. He wants to help heal that pain. Like he wants to be a balm for taking away that thing that distracts you from focusing on him. Anyway, the next one, and I think this is my last one. Let's see. Yes, my last one. Ways that the devil uses to distract us from Christ. When you are alone. And quarantine, boy, oh boy, does that one ever hit home. Now, here's the thing. The Sunday school answer here is, oh, but Shawn, we are never alone. Yes, obviously, maybe I should have said rather than when you are alone, when you feel like you're alone, because this has been a very lonely time in our planet's history, right? When we are isolating from each other, whether it is in like strict quarantine, whether it is trying to maintain a healthy distance, or even if you're not maintaining a healthy distance, other people are, there's this be away from other peopleness. That's not even a word, but there's this separation that is taking place, and that loneliness just, we are designed to be social creatures, right? I am so grateful for the internet. Could you imagine being in like 1918 with that pandemic and not having any way for real-time communication at all? It must have been so much worse. So I am so grateful that we're alive in this time where we can text somebody or FaceTime somebody, or what YouTube is probably where this is going to be, where we can have communication even if it's not in person. But this is not the same, right? I mean, I haven't hugged people nearly as much as I did a year ago. I'm not even that socially comfortable and that, extroverted kind of person, but I like to hug people, and I haven't hugged many people, and it really wears on your soul, right? That loneliness, is an avenue for the devil to be like, oh, let me make you feel more connected with this really bad idea, or with this sinful thing. It'll comfort your lonely heart, you poor little sinner. Are you feeling alone? The devil's a creep, right? So that's something that the devil takes advantage of, though. And so Isaiah 41:10, fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God, and I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. But it's difficult for us to actually take advantage of that. Or, I don't know, it's difficult to sometimes believe that that's a truth, right? It's difficult for us to say, yes, I know that you're here, God, but I feel so lonely. I encourage you, talk to him about it. Talk to him about your loneliness, because he has the ability to be the balm that you need, not those other sinful, poor choices and bad ideas and bad habits and all and macaroni and cheese. I mean, those things. God can be so much better than that. You do have to be willing to let him be the balm for your loneliness, and it can be a lot easier said than done. I know that's true. And lastly, I want to end with a slight shift, but something that has made this year, especially the end of the year, so miserable. I mentioned politics, and oh my goodness, does politics just mess up everything when it comes to relationships with believers, with other human beings, especially people who are different than we are or have different views than we do? We need to shift our worldview. So, whatever your political affiliations are, here is a truth that I hope you listen to really, really closely. Our worldview, our Christian worldview, the way that we see everything in creation, the way that we see other people, the way that we see other Christians, the way that we see non Christians, the way that we see everything about the world because of who we are in Christ, that should guide our politics. However, usually what we end up doing is having our political desires change our worldview. And it seems so subtle. It really does. It seems like I'm just talking nonsense or I'm just like rearranging a sentence to sound crafty. But if you have these strong political views and you find yourself justifying those views by trying to figure out in scripture how you can make those political views Christian-y, I'll argue that you're doing it backwards. And I'm guilty of this just as much as everybody else. I have strong opinions on things, and I try to make my worldview match that political view, when really I should have my worldview then looking into the political landscape and saying, why, look, this fits into who I am as a Christian. This fits into how I want to be perceived by the unsaved world. This political view is not about me, it's about Jesus and how I can represent him to the world. I'm willing to give up this passion if this passion isn't about furthering Christ's kingdom. And boy, that can be a painful and unpleasant way to go about looking at politics. But I assure you that at the end of the day, if you start from your Christ worldview, your Christ-centered worldview, and then you look into the political landscape, regardless of Democrats, Republicans, Biden, Trump, look at all of those things through your eyes of what it means to be a Christian, you're going to be able to identify things that match your Christian worldview and then hold on to those things. Don't take your human anger, right, that doesn't satisfy God. Don't take your personal desires and then fit God into those. Take your godly views and try to find other things and just work from the inside out, if you will. Because remember, our enemy is Satan. Our enemy is not Democrats. Our enemy is not Republicans. Our enemy is not Joe Biden. Our enemy is not Donald Trump. Our enemy is Satan. Our enemy is anything that takes us away from who Christ is. So if you are saying something that is so mean-hearted and you feel that it comes from righteous anger, remember that if you are separating somebody that has a different view from you, from the Christ who you want everybody to know, I would argue that maybe you don't have a righteous anger that you're coming from. Maybe that's a personal human anger, and you should approach the topic differently. Even if your opinion on the topic doesn't change, how you approach that topic can be vitally can be vitally different and can be incredibly powerful with your effect on humanity, right? You can have the same political view but approach it from two different angles altogether. All right. I'm not going to talk about specific politics because that's not the point of this. The point of this is that you take all of those hurts and those passions and always funnel them through your worldview as a Christian. So now I have an assignment for you. I haven't written anything out and I couldn't hand them to you anyway because we are not literally in the same room. However, here is the deal. I mentioned six. I think I mentioned six, maybe five. Let me count. Let's see. Tired, starting out, angry, in pain, and alone. That's five. Okay, so five things are what I mentioned. What I want you to do is take each of those five areas of weakness that the devil can take advantage of, and I want you to, one, find biblical encouragement on that particular issue. So that one area that the devil will take advantage of, I want you to find biblical encouragement to get past that. But then you're not done because this isn't Sunday school, right? This is real life. I'm all about practical solutions to practical world problems that we're personally going through. So you start with that. I'll do the first one with you. Are you ready? Okay. So the first one is when you're tired. Again, physical tired, spiritual tired, emotional tired. When you are tired, the devil will take advantage of that and kind of worm his way into your thought process and your desires and your actions. So a good biblical verse is going to, biblical verse, are there any other kinds? Anyway, a good Bible verse for encouragement is going to be Isaiah 40:29. And it says, he gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. It's true, right? I mean, we know it's true because it's a truth in the Bible, so we can have faith in that. But here's the second part of every one. What does it look like on a Tuesday? Because I want practical, what you can do today answers for these issues. So while that's a wonderful verse, he gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. What does it look like on a Tuesday? When you see a fellow human being, a Christian or not, who is weary, encourage them. Be the hands and feet of Christ. I want you, if you see somebody who is tired and weak, remind them of God's strength, that he will never let you down, that he will never abandon you. Offer to be that help, right? We are the hands and feet of Christ. Offer to be that help. Help somebody if they're down. Encourage them if they're discouraged. If they are tired, see what you can do to help them. Remind them of God's promises and help encourage them to get past that tiredness and put their weariness at the feet of Jesus Christ. Okay, so we did the first one together. You only have 4 left. What the second one, or your first one, is going to be the devil takes advantage of us when we are new believers or when we are new to a situation. What biblical encouragement can you give somebody who is facing something new or who is a new Christian facing our current world? So newness. The second one, anger. Okay, the biblical verse encouragement for somebody who is dealing with anger. What about people who are hurting? Physical, emotional, spiritual, hurting people. And then loneliness. People who are feeling alone in whatever manner that may be. So, biblical verses that will encourage those particular situations. And then what does it look like on a Tuesday? What can you personally, physically, actually do to help somebody else who is experiencing one of these weak times that the devil wants to take advantage of? So I have no idea how long that is. I have a timer. A little over 20 minutes. Hopefully that's a good amount of time. I don't remember what we're aiming for, but that's what I want you to talk about. Those 5 things. I'll say them one more time. Are you ready? The first one, which we did together, is tired. The second one is new. The third one is angry. The fourth one is hurting. And the last one is loneliness. Okay, so that's your assignment. I miss everybody. I wish I could hug you. I look forward to the time where I can gather with you. I'm impressed that everybody is gathering again, even though even though Donna and I are not actually facilitating everything. Our hope was always that this barn ministry would be a self-sufficient time where you would gather together for encouragement and to deal with things like these 5 topics. Anyway, I love you all. I look forward to seeing you. Stay healthy, and I'll see you later.